Alright, guys, welcome back to the Cinema Boys. I'm just your co host, Jacob Price, with your other co host.
Devan Franklin.
And this week, we recently watched the Thunderbolts movie yesterday when it came out, the premiere. And we're just here to talk about it.
The usual rundown of the movie and get into our kind of more deeper intakes and looks of the movie.
And spoilers and everything.
And then at the end, our real score.
So, let's get right into it. Alright, so this is a movie that kind of just bands together a team, kind of a misfits that we've seen in the Marvel Universe before. This includes Elena from the Black Widow movie, Bucky, which you already know Bucky, Alexei or the Red Guardian, that's also from the Black Widow movie, John Walker from the Winter and Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show, kind of messed that up, but the fake Captain America, in a sense, Ghost, which we saw in Ant-Man 2, and another Black Widow character, Taskmaster. I mean, she's not in it for very long. She kind of gets offed very, very early. And obviously the bad guy in this movie, or sort of like the second bad guy, because the main kind of villain is Valentina in a sense, and we've also seen her, and I'm pretty sure the Black Widow, and the TV shows as well, and Louis Pullman, who plays Robert Reynolds or Bob Reynolds, and he is Sentry, and if you know Sentry, he's essentially one of the most overpowered superheroes in the Marvel Universe. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. Thought it was pretty good. I probably liked it so much because honestly, I had no expectations going into this movie. I heard it was good, but I kind of still had to see it for myself. Because, the recent Marvel projects have kind of been on the bad side recently. Even the newest Captain America was kind of still
Yeah.
But this movie is definitely top tier. I mean, one of the best since Endgame, I would say, me personally, obviously. But, I mean, what are your just, instant thoughts about it, Devan?
I definitely, I guess I'm going to steal this one from Xavier, who also watched it on premiere. It definitely did feel like a Marvel movie again, where I feel like, besides, we kind of, after the movie, kind of went and looked at the movies that came out after Endgame for Marvel, and that being all these other movies, and some of them were great movies, and then some of them were kind of meh, and some of them were never watch again. So we were thinking about it, and definitely probably the at least top three movie that's came out Marvel wise since Endgame, for sure. Definitely just a toss up on how you like your movies, I guess. This one was definitely more of an emotional movie, I would say,
and kind of more like a character development movie.
Yeah, where most Avengers movies is just let's beat the crap out of a bunch of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, and this one's I know this isn't technically an Avengers movie. I guess it's kind of at the end. I guess
at the end, you kind of already could guess because you knew they weren't going to keep the name Thunderbolts because obviously the apostrophe, or it's not the asterisk at the end or on the title. But at the end, everyone was already guessing it. But yeah, it is official. They will be called the New Avengers later on in Marvel projects. But yeah, I just feel like this movie kind of tried to fix their mistakes, and they kind of listened to the fan feedback, especially with Taskmaster, how bad they messed her up with Black Widow. And what else can you do other than just kill her off real quick?
Yeah, she was probably there for I'd say maybe max 3 minutes, and it wasn't really just her. She was just kind of in the background for 3 minutes in that movie.
Fighting all the other main characters.
And then gets popped.
By Ghost.
Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting twist. Like I said, I wasn't paying I wasn't thinking too much, but like I wasn't expecting that's how they'd all meet or whatever. Maybe I didn't pay, or I guess I knew that's how they met from the trailers, but I just also didn't know it was like in that sense, why they were actually there. Each one of them. So that one was different.
So yeah, and I mean, all our main characters kind of meet up right away, I would say, within the first 10 minutes of the movie. Obviously, they kind of just show Valentina giving Elena the orders to kill Ghost and this to like keep secrets. But then all the main characters meet up, like John Walker, Elena, Ghost, and Taskmaster, because they all work for Valentina, so they're all liabilities. So they were just trying to get them to kill each other. And then they even had like just a backup. They had like an incinerator. I couldn't say it for some reason. I just had a cow on my tongue or whatever. Cat on my tongue, whatever the main thing is. But yeah, obviously Valentina just wanted them dead because they were just as a liability. And this is also when we meet Bob. He's kind of just thrown into the mix and they don't know who he is right away. And they're kind of douchey to him. Well, John Walker
was.
Yeah.
And John was kind of an idiot in this, so I'd say like 10-15 minute stretch of meeting Bob and kind of them escaping.
Yeah, but I feel like once they escaped and he helped Bob up to safety, he realized that he had some type of power.
Just whenever they were kind of like had escaped, like the vault getting absolutely engulfed.
The incinerator, yeah.
He was like, "How'd you get here?" After finding
the tube that had a whole body on,
that had like a body imprint, or
imprint, yeah.
Where you could obviously tell that's where he came from, and then I feel like I thought he was connecting the dots when he seen it.
Yeah, me too.
So he seen it for a second, kind of looked back at
kind of made a face,
and then he kind of went on because they had a 2-minute timer and they had to figure out how to shut off or try to open the door.
Yeah.
Or no, the sound barrier thing so Ghost could face through the wall and then open the door. But yeah, I thought he pieced it together. I guess I just put too much faith in him because how did you get down there? Where did you come from? I was like, knowing he came from that.
Yeah,
box.
You literally saw where he kind of just came from.
I wouldn't expect really. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'd be thrown off if some random person also just came out of nowhere and I saw the box. I would still be thrown off a little bit.
And I don't know why, honestly, Valentina had so little respect, because she didn't think they were going to work together. But yeah. I mean, didn't you think if you sent different people to kill different people, because when they were all fighting, they were like, "Get out of my way, I'm not here for you."
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think they put the dots together and then kind of start working together since they all want to survive?
She didn't spread it out at all, where it should have been I don't know, if I'm trying to get all 4 people dead in a way.
Yeah.
I would have had it where I don't know, Ghost was the last one that gets incinerated, you know what I'm saying?
Not
where they kind of eventually pig each other off, one by one, instead of all in one room.
And putting them in the same place. Mm-hmm. That was kind of just stupid.
Because I feel like at that moment, if you know you're working with anyone, if you're in that situation where you know you're about to get engulfed in flames and burned to death, because you're just sent there to kill this person. You don't really necessarily have a grudge against this person. You're literally just doing it for the money. Yeah,
and obviously they still don't trust each other all the way throughout, basically until the end of the movie.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah, but they kind of they do stay true to themselves. There's a couple scenes where you think John Walker and Ghost kind of just leaves Elena and Bob, but obviously they both come back doing the parts of the plan that they made up. So, I mean, obviously they're not terrible people. Valentina was kind of just guessing because she was oh, they're just misfits and outlaws and stuff like that. But, I mean, even if you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that's not all John Walker was. Yes, Elena was an assassin, so I say them. But John Walker was trying to be a good guy, but his anger kind of just got the best of him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't pure-hearted as Steve Rogers was, obviously, when he got the super soldier serum, whatever. But I mean, I kind of like that they all now have their moments of glory, taking these like anti-heroes to bad guys and turning them into good guys. Especially at the end scene where you see them all working together, or not working together, kind of, but they're all saving people.
Yeah.
And then becoming heroes slowly. And I mean, that's what John Walker always wanted. But he took his anger out and obviously accidentally kind of murdered somebody with the Captain America shield. And that, I don't know. And that destroyed his family, which I thought that was a good development for that character and flesh out, because at the beginning he was lying to them, and then all of them kind of had bad backstories. So they were like, oh, you're lucky because you have this loving family waiting for you at home every night. When you figure out that his wife left him and took the child so that he can't see her or him. Which obviously, it may not be as sad as like the others' backstories, but it is pretty sad in a sense. Because, I mean, he was kind of just a normal soldier until he got the super soldier serum. And then these responsibilities that he was supposed to uphold obviously just crumbled him. And I feel like, I mean, most normal people, like, they can't really live up to the expectations of Captain America or Steve Rogers especially. And they just did a really good job with John Walker in this movie, because, I don't know, he was just like, he was one-dimensional in Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show. I mean, like, I would say they all got more fleshed out in this movie, especially Elena, because she's the main character. And, like, it's, with her character, it's more about, like, the family dynamics with her and Alexei. Because after Black Widow, apparently, like, Alexei didn't contact Elena for a whole year. And he was like, I don't know how to do this dad job. And, like, he didn't think that Elena wanted him, even though she did. So I think that was just, like, a good thing to add and flesh out these characters, because, like I said, they're fixing their mistakes with these one-dimensional characters in other movies.
Yeah, I mean, like, with the John Walker, I mean, he was so distracted with, like, going to how it was. I was really like, dang, he really doesn't have a bad story really at all, besides the fact he killed someone. And then, like, I mean, again, like you said, it wasn't as extreme as everybody else, but, I mean, he was distracted by the fact he killed someone and kind of just neglected his whole family.
And not only that, but he was also, like, I feel like he was kind of focused on all the hate he got from killing that person. And it just kind of destroyed maybe his, like, mental state in a way. Obviously, his reputation for sure. Because, he, like I said before, he used to be, like, this great soldier and everything in the army. And then once he gets those superpowers, he kind of, obviously, like, army, he's kind of used to killing and everything. So he was put that way in his mind. And, I mean, obviously that didn't transfer well, because Steve Rogers, I mean, he was not completely in the army. Like, right when he joined the army, they wanted him just for the super soldier serum. So he didn't really have the killing in his mind like John Walker already did. And, yeah, I mean, I would say the only person that really didn't get fleshed out too much was Ghost from Ant-Man 2, because...
there's really not much there.
Yeah, she didn't really get much.
She just kind of mentioned how she was, like, created or, like, lived in the lab for, like, her whole life.
Which we saw that in Ant-Man 2.
And then that's pretty much it. Like, we don't really see, because Walker has his little flashback century, I don't know.
Touches them and kind of sends them into the void for a minute.
Exactly, his void moment. And we don't see any, and then we already know Bucky a little already. And I guess we don't really know too much about Red Guardian besides with his show, but I mean, we know he was working with, like, he was kind of Russia's Captain America.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, I feel like, yeah, he wasn't really fleshed out either, but he's just there more for, like, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Ghost, there was not very much. She was kind of to herself. I mean, she's still a really good character. But she was kind of someone, she didn't get that much shown about her and not really too far branched out in the movie.
Yeah, they just mostly focused on John Walker, and definitely Elena, and obviously Sentry, because Sentry, like, obviously he has kind of split personality, not in a sense, but when he gets those powers, there's a part of him, like, there's a void, because he has a very, like, also bad background with, like, terrible parents and an abusive father, and he was addicted to meth as well. And that does create kind of a funny scene.
Yeah, that's all I said. Once you said that, that's what I thought about.
Because I'm sure we'll talk about that later on when we talk about the end. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it had a lot of action to it, but that wasn't like the main important parts about the movie.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of, definitely kind of more mental, like, health-ish related.
Yeah.
Kind of like mental battles. Like, I mean, it kind of started off that early whenever Elena just kind of met Bob and not necessarily knew Bob's capabilities yet.
Yeah.
Because they have this little scene after they get out of the vault, and he was just kind of sitting there. He's like, well, maybe you guys are better off without me. And then he was like, they're like kind of have this like little like kind of moment for like 45 seconds before it gets interrupted because they have to get out of there. But he was just like, maybe you guys are just better off without me, and I'll just stay here and die or whatever. And then Elena's like, no, blah, blah, blah. They kind of was talking. She kind of is joking about it a little bit with him, having some fun. Because, I mean, she's obviously got her own past as well. And she's talking about how she just pushes it deep down into the void. And then they kind of laugh about that. You kind of get that revisited later in the movie.
Yeah.
Whenever he becomes the void.
And Elena, like, throughout the whole movie, it shows up very early on. She's kind of battling with, like, she's kind of just tired of being in the shadows and fighting just like these, I don't know, she doesn't know really what she's fighting for.
Yeah.
But she has a talk with an Alexei, and she wants to be like the face of something. She kind of wants a turn of the best. And they keep like obviously mentioning Natasha or Black Widow and how she was a superhero. Yeah. And Alexei was like, you have that light in you too, and you just really haven't shown it yet. And this is kind of her time to shine throughout the movie. As, I mean, like, yeah, the other superheroes do help, but she is technically the only reason that kind of New York gets saved from the void.
Yeah, because, I mean,
because of her connection with Bob, like you just said earlier, that the moment they had, that revisits near the end. And that's kind of how they save, which, I mean, I enjoy, really, because this group of people isn't like the most powerful people, so I was always wondering how they were going to take down Sentry's the Void, and it completely made sense that it was just a mental battle, as because they can't really physically force him down. And it shows that I think it's like definitely like the coolest action scene of the movie is like when all the Thunderbolts first meet Sentry and you see his suit, and then Valentina's like attack them.
You shouldn't really get much time with the suit either, I guess.
We'll probably see it later on more. Hopefully, I love Sentry's suit. The only thing I didn't really like is, like, I get it. Sentry has blonde hair in the comics, but they dyed his hair.
Yeah, and
it is a funny scene.
They kind of like make jabs at it, so I don't know if it was like, but kind of making fun of some things or whatever, some weird put in, but. Yeah, that was kind of funny, and then I kind of like how it's kind of like one of his things that kind of like he mentions when he's turning on Valentina, where he's like the hair, I probably should have had more say in my hair.
Yeah.
They had kind of, during the fight scene, had kind of got into his head.
And then obviously, like, at that part, this happens in a lot of movies, but like he just realizes that he's more powerful than this person that's trying to control him. Yeah. Because he's like, you basically called me a god, because she was talking about how he was stronger than Thor because he was with the Avengers, and Thor is a Norse god. So, and then obviously they have a kill switch. I don't really know how that works. They didn't explain that. That's the only part. I don't.
Yeah.
It like was mentioned once. They were like, oh, we threw it out, and then she was like, oh, we need to rebuild it.
Yeah, she made me a new one. I think it's kind of funny. You can just make a new one. I guess another thing I wanted to like just kind of slip in there. I meant to mention it kind of at the beginning of the movie. It is a 2-hour-long movie, but it does not feel like
it did not feel like it at all.
I did mean to mention that earlier when we were kind of first starting this, but slip it in there, like, because you watch so much character development in the first hour and a half of that movie before we get to the real kind of, I guess it's not really a fight scene.
There's
like a mental battle scene.
I would say there's like 3 action scenes. I would say it's like when they're escaping the vault.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you want to count Bucky kind of capturing the Thunderbolts in a way, but then obviously the Sentry fight scene, and then, I mean, it's kind of an action scene in the mental battle in the void, because they all, like, they think about it, and then they're, like, John Walker was like, oh, as we were talking about before when he got sent into the void, he was like, I seen something when Bob touched me. And then they were like, it's not death going into the void. It's just, like, basically going into your personal hell.
Yeah. Which is also, sorry, I meant to cut you off earlier. But,
no, you're good.
With how New York's only saved because of Elena is because she was also the only, everyone else was trying to run away from the void. And I don't think she necessarily welcomed it, like, as in, like, bring it on. She was kind of also, like, she's also kind of pushed to the edge. You can tell, like, she has like this kind of whole monologue at the beginning of the movie, where she's just been like taking all this work from Valentina because she doesn't know what else to do with her life.
Yeah.
And she's kind of on the edge of like she's just kind of done with her whole life in a way. So she was just kind of like, if I die, I die, like kind of mentality, I guess, with the whole seeing the void, because you have the whole scene where people are just disappearing and then it's kind of engulfed.
And also, if it was like a way to help Bob, I feel like she tried that, because they did kind of make a connection, because obviously they both felt a void in their life in a sense, because obviously Bob had that void, and that's the reason he was in the Sentry Project, because they told him that this medicine would make him become stronger and everything, and obviously that gave his good side and bad side powers, which is kind of a cool take on it for sure. But I mean, if you just want to go talk about the end, since we kind of talked about
it's fine with me.
Throughout the movie, because basically, like we said, it's just character development, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't hate that because
it's not bad character development. Like sometimes movies make character development seem a little long or whatever, but I feel like they're kind of keeping it going the whole time. It didn't really feel like there's much, if any, really dead spots in the movie.
Absolutely.
Where it was always going all the time.
So yeah, let's go to the end. So yeah, as we said, like the end battle is kind of just them being in their personal hells, and then it takes kind of a minute for Elena to find Bob, because like you could see his room like in the reflections of Elena's personal hell, because obviously he's the one kind of just making this happen, but. Yeah, obviously Elena eventually finds him, and then that's when you realize Bob kind of had like the abusive father and also the terrible past. I mean, he did say that he was addicted to meth like one time before that movie, like when they were all explaining their sob backstories, he was like, oh, I was just addicted to meth. He just like slipped that in there.
Because it kind of explained why he was where he is now. Because he was like, I ran away to Malaysia to find more drugs.
Yeah.
Because he got so addicted and he wanted to just do all these drugs and then, get offered to do some test drugs.
Yeah. And obviously, but when she was kind of just trying to talk him down and to stop it, he was like, I don't know how to. And the room started attacking them, or basically the void in a sense. And then, I mean, he was like, you can only feel pain in here, you can't die. So you just gotta get used to it. And then the Thunderbolts obviously found it, which I mean, I kind of wonder what John Walker's rooms were, because I'm guessing they had to go through multiple rooms to find.
Like
yeah. Obviously, we know most of Bucky's being in the Hydra and everything.
We kind of put together an image. Same thing with Alexia, someone I would thought would be kind of an interesting.
A cool in the Russia. Yeah.
Like if we get a random like spin-off.
Yeah, and
Alexia, like if we just like I want
definitely like probably the Prison and Black Widow would probably definitely be one. But obviously they all fight together, and then they go into the room where Devan just said they will go into the Malaysia room, where he explains that he ran to Malaysia to find drugs, and then he found the Sentry Project also. and they kind of just start fighting each other. Like the Void captures all the Thunderbolts, and it's literally just the good side of Bob, and then or Sentry, and then the Void as well. And then when you think like, oh, Bob is gonna start winning, it's actually like something the Void actually wants to happen.
Yeah.
Because that anger and all that going through him is kind of what's causing the Void to happen. And then when like he starts kind of turning black as well as the Void, because like pitch black, that's how he looks like when the Void takes over. And obviously Elena sees this, and Alexei uses his super soldier serum to kind of push the metal piece, and then she goes and helps Bob. And honestly, I think the reason, like, she goes and helps him, and then, like, a couple of seconds, minutes later, the other Thunderbolts happen to get out. And honestly, I'm just going to, like, I kind of just pinpoint this, but, like, I feel like Elena was kind of the reason that happened, because she was, like, kind of soothing Bob. Like, don't do this, stop. Yeah, that's what he wants. And I feel like her saying those words kind of weakened the Void in him. And then the others were also able to get out. And, I mean, they kind of weren't even trying to pull him away. They kind of gave him a group hug.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of looked like. And then, obviously, they all fell back. And then, I mean, the Void stopped. But, like I said, we were going to revisit that one thing when he was on meth. There is a room they go to before they get to that room, that where he's like, I don't know where he was working, but he must have been not working at like a restaurant or something. But he was in a chicken suit and just doing what those people with this, the sign flips, and they were just getting beat the crap out of by him. And he was like, "Sorry, I was on meth." So that was a pretty funny scene. I mean, I just wondered, like, his life must have been very miserable if he was willing to kind of just go through the Sentry Project without even really knowing what it was.
Yeah, which I used to kind of see as a common theme in movies now. It's like kind of where they kind of get these people who are down these dark paths, and then they kind of lure them in with one pop. Like what kind of helped also was the fact of the test drug, and he wanted drugs, but also too, like, they're like, this will give your life meaning.
Yeah.
He felt like his whole life, like, because his dad being an abusive father, or he more of it seemed like he just beat his wife. So I guess his mom, Bob's mom, and then Bob's mom in the scene, the first room we see is like, be like, you're just making it worse. When Bob tried to stand up.
Which also, it kind of takes us back to a previous scene when they're trying to escape, because they are having like a. So basically, they have to crawl up a wall back to back to back with all the main characters. And then when they realize how are they going to get to the door? When they're fighting, he's like, I always make it worse. And that obviously just shows, like, he kind of gets that. He puts himself down because his parents, his mom and dad, always put him down. And I mean, just good character development, especially for like the mental issues and the type of villain that Sentry turned out to be. Because I just thought he was going to be a powerhouse villain, but the Void was like completely something else.
Yeah. And
that was definitely like a good, not twist, but something I just didn't really see what they were going with throughout the trailers. So that was very enjoyable. And I mean, obviously, at the end, they're about to capture Valentina, and then she freaking turns it around on him and has the whole press there. And she's like, here's the new Avengers. And then Elena has the badass line of being like, we own you now. Because basically, they're the only reason that Valentina's not going to prison for all the dirty, shady shit that she did throughout the movie. So, yeah. I mean, there wasn't too much bad I can really say about this movie. Except, I guess, if you're kind of just like more action. If you like more action, it might not be the best movie for you. Or even, I don't know, I feel like the assistant was kind of pointless. because throughout the movie she was like, oh, Valentina's going way too far. And then she helps Valentina anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
I was super thrown off because I thought we were going to see her kind of jump ship, but then just kind of gets a raise out of it.
Yeah, she was just like, I need a raise. So I don't even know why she was kind of in the movie. I guess because she didn't even really help Bucky. All she was like, oh, you need to get here now. Yeah. So I guess like leading up to the fight of Century maybe. Yeah. But they knew where Valentina was already hiding. Because, I mean, if you buy the Avengers Tower, that's not, like, really secretive. Yeah. It's one of the tallest towers, if not the tallest tower in New York. So, I mean, it was definitely cool seeing that tower again. But it just means that the Avengers are going to have a new base, since that's the new Avengers. Well, yeah. Okay, I kind of said new Avengers both times. But the actual Avengers and then this team of the new Avengers. And who knows? We might not even see this team for that long. Because, I mean, we have Doomsday coming up, and I'm sure they're going to, hopefully, because, like, I mean, for an Avengers movie, you got to make it seem powerful. So you got to, like, and then when you have so many characters in that movie, you got to kill off a lot of them.
A handful.
Yeah, definitely a handful. But, I mean, other than, like, that, and then Ghost not getting much screen time, or Bucky either, really.
Yeah, which I guess Bucky kind of makes a little sense because I feel like I think they just use this movie as a giant build up and character development.
Yeah,
movie.
And Bucky's already fleshed out.
We already know who Bucky is now. At least he should.
Yeah.
I guess, but yeah, so I kind of get that, but I also understand it's still Bucky. We all kind of do want to see Bucky as well.
Yeah, I kind of definitely feel like they might be setting up like Ghost to die. Because just how she was in the movie that long.
Yeah.
I kind of hope John Walker sticks around longer now, since I didn't like him in this TV show, but this movie made me really like him. But yeah, do you have anything else to say before we move on to our real score?
No, I don't think so. But I guess I will mention that both end credit scenes were, I would say, pretty good.
Oh yeah, I mean the mid credit scene was just funny.
It was, yeah, and then. The end credit obviously kind of...
The post-credit scene was... I called it, man. No.
Yeah.
Basically, they kind of tease the Avengers, but they don't show them.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, oh, the internet's wondering who the Avengers are.
Sam Wilson is now suing for the Avengers.
Yeah, but then a extraterrestrial ship is coming, and then obviously they pull it up on their satellite dishes, and then you see what logo at the bottom of it? Fantastic Four, baby. I mean, we already knew they were going to be in the Marvel Universe. That's literally the next Marvel project coming out.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an easy pinpoint. But it's kind of gas, and this movie does definitely give me way more hope for Fantastic Four. I really hope they don't mess up it like every other movie. I mean, I enjoy the Chris Evans Fantastic Four movies. That's just my childhood right there. But they're not good movies. They're just entertaining movies.
Yeah.
Except the 2015 one. We can just forget that one with Michael B. Jordan and all that. But yeah, kind of gives me way more hope. And I'm excited now. So let's just get to the real score. So yeah. So let's just get right to the real score. I probably got to put it at a 92.78. I enjoyed this movie really a lot. Probably just because it was kind of a surprising take for me. Because we've had kind of just not the best Marvel movies lately, as I already said it. And this character development is already better than like character development in the Marvels. Even with Sam and the new Captain American, because he was just the same Sam Wilson that we already seen as Falcon. He kind of is just now Captain America. He just has a different role in the universe, not really a different personality or anything. Hopefully, they'll show him like get that Captain America mannerisms in the later movies. I don't have too much hope for that because they might want to keep Sam how he is. I'm just not the biggest fan of Sam Wilson. I don't know. He's just kind of His humor's okay. His dry humor can kind of be funny. But that's just not how I see Captain America.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll just be taking his job more seriously, role more seriously. Obviously, the flight scenes with him are definitely cool and the action scenes, but that's the only kind of difference about him being Captain America, is that he has the shield now.
Yeah.
But obviously, the only problems I really had with this is kind of just not enough characters. Like, obviously, I feel like they picked the right characters to give the most screen time, but some characters were just kind of pushed to the background, which I don't mind, but I just expected Bucky to be more of a main character. I'm fine that he wasn't, but yeah, 92.78.
It's probably the closest we've ever been score-wise. I mean, I would have to go back and exactly figure it out, but I think I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, me too.
This one, mine's just like literally slightly lower. I thought, but mine would be 92.37 for my real score. That's because for me the humor was there, and I definitely liked Red Guardians. Like, he was a dad jokes guy, and kind of like how he was like, oh my gosh, you named them the Thunderbolts.
After her Pee-wee soccer team that never won, where a girl crapped her pants, apparently.
and 11. And then, like, the fighting on who sponsored the team and whatnot, for that split, like, a little bit. But yeah, it was pretty, like, the humor was there. It just, like, I guess, the kind of same thing. I wish we got a little bit more in depth with maybe Ghost. And then, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I really like to see a little bit more of Red Guardian. He did get a decent bit, but I would like to.
He wasn't really kind of fleshed out. He was just a comedic relief.
He was just also just there on the scenes that Yelena and Bucky were there, kind of thing.
I mean, like, he was kind of fleshed out because, like, at the beginning, when Elena showed up, he was, like, missing his glory, and then he kind of got that with the new Avengers team.
But so I guess that's kind of just me. I mean, it's not like the biggest of a deal, but also I would say that it's going off trying to keep it like a consistent score for myself. I feel like it's 92.37 is probably really good. It felt good in the theater, and I stuck with it.
So yeah, I mean, those are our thoughts about the Thunderbolts movie. Pretty good. I definitely recommend this, especially if you used to be an old Marvel fan or even still are a Marvel fan. So yeah, and come back next week for probably Clown in a Cornfield, a new scary movie that's coming out. So I'm kind of excited for that. It is a novel or a book, if you have read it before. I have not personally. I might read the book if the movie's good, though. Just because that's the way I am. Because I know how to differentiate the movies and the books, because it's adaptations. I know not everything's going to be the same. One's obviously going to be worse than the other. But I still enjoy reading both stories. Normally, I did that with the Hunger Games and like the 100 and stuff like that. Especially the 100 is completely different. But yeah, Clown on Cornfield, that's going to be next week most likely. If it is not, I mean, we'll just find another movie, obviously. Yeah. So, until next week, you guys have a great time. Peace.